We'll go ahead and call the July Elizabethton Board of Education meeting to order. At this time, we will call on Mr. Van Huss to lead us in a moment of silence and then the pledge to the flag. If everyone would please stand.
Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's time to approve the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve and a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions, any items that need to be moved on that? No? If not, all those in favor of approving the consent and regular agenda, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. It's now time for citizens to speak. We didn't have anyone asked to speak, but sometimes circumstances change things. And so Ms. Susan Peters has requested to speak, and she can explain why. If you'll come forward and just give us your name and that address, and we'll go from there.
I appreciate you letting me speak at the last minute. I'm Susan Peters. I live on Daytona Place, and I'm here to just say a few words about Catherine Armstrong, who died last Sunday. She was in very poor health, and it was a blessing because she's at peace now. She was 92, and Bill is 96, and he's still going strong. They've been involved in this community for many, many years, both of them. They both have been involved in countless activities and causes in Elizabethton and were tireless advocates for the animal shelter as well. Catherine taught for nearly 40 years in the Elizabethton City Schools, and before she served on this board for over 20 years, and then she taught at ETSU in the health department for several years. During all that time, her dedication, love of children, and education were constant. She was always gracious in the face of adversity and served the city schools with all her heart and efforts. She and Connie Baker were my mentors and friends before I served on this board, and Catherine was always a support to me when I needed advice. When I would spend the weekend studying those board packets and call her with questions and clarifications, she was always there. Her knowledge, dedication to all the complicated and changing policies that you well know were of great help to me, and I don't think anyone studied those packets and was more prepared for board meetings than Catherine was. Her honesty, integrity, dignity, and wanting to do what was right for children, education, and teachers never wavered. She was my role model, constant support, and dear friend. Her wishes were that, her adamant wishes, by the way, were that there would be no formal funeral, but there will be a small graveside service next Thursday afternoon at Happy Valley. In closing, I respectfully would hope that sometime in the future, the board and the administration would consider some type of memorial or naming on both Catherine and Bill's behalf. Their legacy to the Elizabethton City Schools is a large one, and hopefully will always be remembered. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and hi, Cindy. Haven't seen Cindy since Sarah McCormick. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no special recognitions for this month. That will obviously pick back up once school begins in the next couple of weeks. And so we will move on. It's now time for the director's update.
Thank you, Mr. Pless. And Miss Peters stole a little bit of our thunder. We wanted to welcome Miss Walker in her position now as the board secretary, and we're excited to have her as part of the team, and she's already hit the ground running and doing a fantastic job. Just wanted to give you a quick update. There are lots of capital projects going on across the system. First and foremost, the project at Harold McCormick continues to progress. They're working feverishly down there. If you've been by, the biggest holdup this summer has been windows, and those are now in. They actually have all the windows in hand, and so as we continue the renovation project, there won't be any slowdowns due to those windows not being available. So they should have 4 classrooms completely finished before the first day, and then they'll continue working on the other 2. Then the remaining classrooms in that wing, again, will be pretty bare bones. There'll be some technology in there, of course, desk chairs, lighting, and those type things. But then as the year progresses, again, we'll leapfrog, do 2 classroom renovations at a time. And by the end of the year, all those should be finished. There'll be a little bit of work next summer that revolves around the cafeteria and some options that we have there. But project's gone very well. Jay Green is the contractor, has done a fantastic job, and of course, Mr. Weems as always. We had a project meeting earlier this week about T.A. Duggar and the secure entrance. That project there, excited about what that's going to mean for the school and the enhanced safety feature that's going to be. That'll be about a 6-month project, and they'll be on site Monday, July 31st to begin work there. And it'll take a few days of some preliminary work, but pretty much for the first half of the school year, the front entrance will be shut down to students and individuals visiting the school. So there'll be some information that Mr. Berry and the system will put out about the new location, that temporary front office space. We'll be sharing that in the near future. Renovation work continues at the old Union Pharmacy, and if you remember, that's now the Community Development and Engagement Center, and that's where we'll house our alternative program, as well as a family resource center, and then a large space for staff training, community meetings, different things like that. So that's going to be another real boost, just a little more space for those type activities across the district. And design work continues with Mr. Weems and the construction manager on the training facility at the high school. There'll certainly be a lot more to come on that as we move forward with that project. Also, as you can imagine, preparations for the 23-24 school year are well on their way. So the prevailing opinion is that there's not much that goes on in schools in the summer, and those of you that have worked in schools know that that's far from the truth. So we had our first administrative meeting today. Excited about some new faces there and what they're going to bring to the administrative team across the system. But again, at the end of the day, it's all about teachers and the staff that work with our students each and every day, and we have the best around. So again, just a reminder to the board members that the opening in-service activity will take place this year on Tuesday, August 1st at 8 a.m. at T.A. Duggar. And the reason for that site location is, if you remember, the Back to School Bash this year will be on the 31st, and it will be at the high school, mainly in the building. And so we thought that was going to be too much work to try to maneuver all that around, transition from that large gathering activity to another one that next morning. So we're going to spread out just a little bit. So hope to see all of you at T.A. Duggar on August 1st at 8 o'clock. And again, that's for all, even though that's only that support staff doesn't necessarily have to work on those days, they're certainly welcome. So anyone that's an employee of Elizabethton City Schools is welcome to come and eat breakfast that day. Just want to take this opportunity to, again, publicly thank City Council, and again, for their support in so many ways. Again, their support financially to help us make some of these projects that I've just talked about a reality, but also the fact that just last week, Mr. Simmerly, who's here with us, and the other council members voted unanimously to set aside that half-cent sales tax for school systems into the future. That's certainly something, they don't have the power to bind future councils, but if the action they took made it much more difficult for future councils to come in and maybe reallocate those funds. We are very proud of the fact that we've spent every dollar of that on students, and we can show where every dollar of that's gone and the positive impact it's had on our students and our community. And we really appreciate Mr. Simmerly and the rest of the council for their partnership in making our schools the best they can be for our students. So thank you very much, Mr. Simmerly and the rest of the council. Looking forward to attending the TSBA Summer Law Conference this weekend with board members. There's lots of changes to talk about, so they always do a great job sharing that, and I think you'll get a lot out of that. On a side note, I wanted to mention that this is the 100th season of football in Elizabethton, which is a fairly substantial, when you think about the history of the school and, that program. And again, our motto is experience excellence, and we want to strive for excellence in everything we do. And the fact that we've reached that milestone, I think, is significant. The impact that's had on so many students in our community. It's a sense of community, a source of community pride, much like our band. And so we're just excited about that and opportunities to celebrate that into the future. Again, in closing, I just want to mention again the Back to School Bash, 31st, and that's in the evening. That's from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So if you're interested in coming down, and well, if you come down, we'll put you to work. But it's a great opportunity to meet our students and families in a positive atmosphere, again, just to show that we're there to support them any way that we can. So if you're interested in coming and helping out, please let me know. That's my report. Thank you.
All right. Next, board member reports. Anyone have anything new that's gone on the last few weeks? Again, like I said, I know 3 of us are heading down to the Summer Law Institute. Just a reminder that July 1st began the next cycle, the year to get that required training in. If you go to this, it will count for that. But I went ahead and printed a list. If anybody needs to look at it, there are just a number of things over the next 12 months to be able to get credit for that. Several of them will be on site in different locations, but there's a number of online opportunities. So that should make that easy for everybody to get their time in. But hopefully next month we will have several things to share based on what we've heard. Anybody? All right. City Council Liaison Report, Mr. Mike Simmerly.
Thank you, Mr. Pless, and first and foremost, overlook my casual attire this evening. I've always gone to a meeting, or at least I've spent over 40 years in business. I've been used to wearing a pressed shirt, so tonight is a big step out here for us, so bear with me. Again, thank you for the time this evening, and Director, the Director has taken away one of my notes I was going to speak to you about tonight, but Mr. Van Husbury, do appreciate that. We worked on the half-cent sales tax, actually worked on it probably for about 6 months. It started back at our workshop where we was down in Gatlinburg talking about the half-cent sales tax, and obviously tax dollars are important. We all need more, and we do all we can do with what we have, and we're proud of that. But when the half-cent sales tax came up, there was never a question whether or not we were going to let the city school system keep that half-cent sales tax. I just want to make that very clear. Very proud that we were able to make a vote on that, and that vote was obviously to do all we could do to lock that in for the city school system to keep that. Obviously, though, a new city council can come on board, and with 4 votes, they can make that change and take that half-cent sales tax away. But again, just wonderful job what you guys have done over the years with that. Had no idea you put that little 1-page report together for us, Richard, on all the work that's been going on with the city schools. It was amazing, all the different things that had come about. And I think it was about $15-16 million since 2008 that half-cent sales tax had brought up board. So again, very proud of that, very proud we were able to do that. So again, it can change with a vote of the community, but we'll see what we can do. Just a few things real quick tonight. One thing, if you've not had the opportunity yet to drive around our beautiful city, we've got a lot going on, and I do wear a few different hats, but one of them is with Keep Carter County Beautiful. We've been planting a lot of flowers here in the city. So if you've not been down Broad Street yet, make sure you go down by the, right down from the hospital there across the street from Sycamore Shovel State Park. You'll see a bunch of beautiful flowers out there. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Please don't pick them, just look at them and enjoy them. But we also have numerous flower plots throughout the city. The reason I'm talking about flowers to you tonight is that next year, our funding, we have good funding for next year for Keep Carter County Beautiful. We're going to be purchasing more flower seeds. And with your approval, we would like to offer the school system those flower seeds, maybe to each elementary school, to plant flower beds somewhere around the schools to, again, beautify, to help the bees, to help the butterflies, just to help nature. But again, it's something that we would like to propose at a future meeting. If the system would like to have those flower seeds for the schools, we would love to give that, and again, just to beautify around our school system. We'd appreciate that. We had mentioned, or I'd mentioned a little bit earlier with Director Van Huss about the baseball stadium. City Council will be taking a vote. Again, I'm only one vote, but I feel confident we have the votes. We will be voting to replace the infield turf with an artificial turf. We have been against that up until about 2 weeks ago, actually. And Mr. Boyd's been pushing, Boyd Sports been pushing to get us to put artificial turf down on that infield. We've been kind of holding back, wanting seating replaced. And so, push come to shove, we just basically, okay, we'll take the turf. But we will be replacing that turf, and the reason I'm telling you that is that once we do that, the city's going to be paying a little over $133,000. School system be paying about $133,000. Boyd Sports would be paying about $133,000. So it's about a $400,000 project for that infield, artificial turf. Obviously, that will allow the baseball teams with Boyd Sports what they do, most importantly with what the city does to manage and have hopefully more games for baseball. And I'm telling you that to say, in the future too, we're looking at if the school system would be interested in having a ballpark. Also, we might even make you a deal on a golf course, but at least a ballpark to give you a ballpark if you'd like to take a ballpark up. Of course, we're going to be voting on that as well. But again, a lot of things going on. We're excited about that. We will be having a change at the golf course for 2024 in the management. City is taking back over responsibility. We've not voted on it yet, but we've had discussions with Hampton Golf. We will be taking that back over. One of the reasons I mention that is the school system uses the golf course, and obviously we're not going to be charging our children to come play golf at our golf course. So we're already paying, in our city taxes for that. But again, just want to let you give you an update on that. And again, you've already talked about the half-cent sales tax. But again, just so appreciative. It's a team effort, what we do here in our city, our community. We're all neighbors. We're all friends. We all work together. We want to work together. And I'm just so proud to be a tiny little piece of it. And Jamie, I remember when you and I talked not too awful long ago about you just wanting to, run for school board. And I said, you've got to do that. You've got to do that. And Richard, not that long ago that, we were talking to you, wanting you to be our director. I'm just so proud of our community and our people and how we can work together. And that's what community's all about. I'll shut up, I'll sit down, but thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simmerly. And next month, we'll officially welcome Hannah McCoy as our student liaison when school starts, so she should be up here, and I'm hopeful that she'll have some things to share right off the bat. If not, once she gets her feet wet, I'm sure she'll feel very comfortable letting us know the things that are happening there at Elizabethton High School. And also, I will say it was good to see in the paper the 5 city systems and their test scores. I guess it may have been in the press, and just to again hearing about all the good things, just where we were in that being second there, but that's a big deal to a community, the smallest community out of the 5 cities. That's a big deal. Now it's time to move on to the regular agenda. First item, approve SRO Memorandum of Understanding between Elizabethton City Schools and the City of Elizabethton for the 2023-2024 school year. Can I get a motion to approve? Got a motion, and I'll count Jamie as a second on that. Mr. Van Huss, Any-
Yes. So as you know, part of the governor's proposed budget this year and then approved by the General Assembly was funding for SROs in every school in the state of Tennessee. $75,000 allotted to that, which will not only cover the salary but can also cover, equipment, potentially, I guess, vehicles, weapons, uniforms, all those things. So we're excited about that. It's been long overdue. Just very excited about what that's going to mean long term for having SROs in our schools. And can't say enough about Chief Shaw and his commitment to staffing those. You hear all the horror stories in other communities about, this, that, and the other can't find officers and don't know where the funding's going to come from. Chief Shaw has been front and center 100% behind SROs in the school system as long as I've been around, and we appreciate that. And so much so that a few times last year when we would have a school that maybe didn't have an SRO, guess who was there being the SRO? Chief Shaw. So we appreciate his commitment to our students and our community, certainly. So this memorandum of understanding, part of this new legislation is there's a memorandum, an MOU that's from the state that has to be approved as is, that you can also attach some additional items to that, which we've done as well. So that's the document for you to consider today. It's already been approved by the City Council at last Thursday's meeting. So if approved, we'll move forward with that and get things in line, and that will allow Chief Shaw to finish up the application process for the funding. So, questions on that?
Okay. Hearing none, the item is to approve SRO Memorandum of Understanding between Elizabethton City Schools and the City of Elizabethton for the 2023-2024 school year. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve restructuring of Elizabethton High School tennis program to create tennis coaching position for T.A. Duggar Junior High School. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second?
Second.
Second? All right.
So tennis at this point is one of the few sports that we offer at Elizabethton High School that we do not have a feeder program at the middle school. So that's what this would serve as. So there's not necessarily a league. It's not necessarily a sanctioned sport at this point, at least not in Northeast Tennessee. At this point, there are about 3 other school systems that have middle school teams that we would play. So it would not be a TSSAA team as we're used to. It will be a club sport, and they'll play those schools, the other schools in our area that have teams. And so what we're proposing is in the current supplement schedule, there are 2 head coaches for tennis at Elizabethton High School, men's and women's. So what we would propose is we keep one position as head coach of the tennis program, and then have an assistant at the high school. And then basically the difference in those 2 head coaching supplements and then the assistant, that difference is what we would put toward to help fund this junior high position. It's a much shorter season. It will be in the fall, and I think it will be a great addition to our programs. Again, it will help that program long term. And as you know, tennis is a great sport. It's a lifelong sport that students, if they get in it or are interested in it, they can play it the rest of their lifetime as long as they're healthy, of course. But again, it will be a real asset to the program, and I think the community as well, and give another opportunity for students to plug in an area of interest and maybe develop an interest in tennis. And I know that 2 of you to my left here have tennis a special place in your heart as being involved in the program, in the past for sure. So, questions, comments on that? Again, it's no financial impact to the nothing additional in there will be going toward tennis. It will be.
Yeah, that's kind of our way of trying to catch up maybe in some others, because we don't have the indoor facilities. We don't have the country club type things where the lessons are taught. So just trying to generate some interest when they're younger is a big deal. That's why we put those boards up
Yes.
on the tennis courts to try to encourage people to use. I think it's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Item is to approve restructuring of Elizabethton High School tennis program to create tennis coaching position for T.A. Duggar Junior High School. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Last item. Approve on second reading Board Policy 1.404, Appeals to and Appearances Before the Board. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second? Second? All right.
Okay, so this is one of the board policies that you approved last meeting on first reading. And I spoke with Mr. Pless after talking with Ms. Owen. As you know, there's a real emphasis now on giving citizens an opportunity to speak at meetings, which this board has historically done for many, many years. So that's not anything new. But in looking at the way the legislation's written, it references opportunities for individuals to speak about items that are on the agenda that will be considered. In looking at our current policies, by board policy, we have to get the agenda to you, board members, and post it publicly within 5 days of the meeting, 5 days prior to. And the policy that we had for citizens to request to be added to the agenda, that was 7 days before. So therein lied a problem. If they have to report that they would like to speak, address the board 7 days before, but we've not posted the agenda until 5 days before, then there's really not that opportunity for them to do it in a timely manner. So our proposal is that we move the 7-day notice to a 3-day notice. So that will be 2 days after the agenda is published. So up to 3 days before, citizens could request to speak before the board. And again, the board retains the right to do just as Mr. Pless did today. If there's someone that requests after the fact, there's an opportunity for the board to consider if they're willing to let that person speak. So, questions on that?
All right. Item is to approve on second reading Board Policy 1.404, Appeals to and Appearances Before the Board. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. All right. The next regularly scheduled board meeting will be held on Thursday, August the 17th at 5:30 here in the Mac Pierce Boardroom. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Thank you all for being here. Have a good evening.